Hello and welcome to my book subscription comparison video. I will be comparing OWLCRATE with FairyLoot. So book subscriptions are just that. They are a monthly subscription service shipped to you for a fee. It will include a novel as well as items that go along with the theme of the month. So it's not always exactly related to the book, but there's a general theme that it follows. I have been a FairyLoot subscriber for about half a year now, and have received things like really nice tote bags and blankets and socks and little trinket dishes and other smaller items as well. I decided to get 1 month of OWLCRATE just to see how it compares to FairyLoot. The thing that's a little bit confusing is this is OWLCRATE's November box and this is FairyLoot's October box. And so even though you receive this in November, because it was packaged in October, they call this their October subscription. And so I am going to compare both of these. The FairyLoot subscription box is $35.90, and then I paid $9.99 for shipping for a total of $45.89. These are Cabe's Water socks. They're designed by No One Designs. It is inspired by a mythical forest that is a tribute to the Raven Cycle series by Maggie Stiefvater. Next, we have this canvas basket. It is designed by Blanca.design. It is intended to be inspired by Once Upon a Broken Heart by Stephanie Garber. And the idea here is that you can carry books or hold any of your bookish journals inside of this canvas tote. Next is Princess of Souls by Alexandra Christo. This is a Rapunzel-inspired romantic fantasy, and this edition comes with a redesigned cover as well as those stunning orange sprayed edges, and then on the interior there is a digital signature. Next, we have the featured book of the month. One of the things that I love about FairyLoot is they're very careful about their green packaging, and they store all of their books in these happy reading tote bags that are very thin but are not plastic, at least. So the book of the month is One Dark Window by Rachel Gillig. It is a gothic fantasy. There is a lot of mist in this kingdom, and there is a magic system that FairyLoot really loved. I loved these end pages. And then there are foil details on the actual hardcover. I will come back to this book in just a minute. So next we get a foiled art print, and this is obviously Howl's Moving Castle depicting Sophie and Howl, and I love the foiling on that. Next, we get this spoiler card. It has an image on the front that relates to the story, and then there is also an information pamphlet that comes showing all the information about an interview with an author as well as books that are coming out this month. Next, we get a letter from the author. So I just wanted to highlight the book. It comes with a dust jacket that is actually reversible. And I think that's pretty unusual, actually. I know they've done it before, but I do love this idea. It doesn't go around it as easily the opposite way as it does the way that the book came. So I'm not sure how many people will leave it this new way. But the book also has sprayed edges, which from my experience with FairyLoot, all of their books come with sprayed edges, so that's just kind of a normal part of the FairyLoot subscription, and I love that. Some of their sprayed edges have flowers on them and different designs. These are just a simple teal, but still such a fun way to have a book published. So the OWLCRATE subscription box is $35.99 and then $8.99 for shipping. But for their first box, they offer a pretty hefty discount. It's usually 15 to 20%. So I got $5 off of my first box. So this was $41.96. So it comes with its spoiler card. Mine was bent, which is not a big deal, but just something to note that when they send these cardstocks in, they can end up bent. It tells you everything that's in the box. And so first we have here the limited edition ceramic bowl collection, and this is inspired by J.R.R. Tolkien's Lord of the Rings. And so the series is that you get a bowl for each different location. And so this is Gondor. It has a lovely quote around the bowl about all who wander are not lost. It really is a beautiful bowl and very deep, and one of the nicest quality bowls I've received in a book subscription. Again, they also try to be green in their packaging, so while there is some plastic in it, they do have some paper protectors. This is a literary luggage enamel pin. It is designed by Hey Atlas Creative, and this is inspired by From Blood and Ash, and it has 2 pins on the back with a nice sturdy rubber backing. This is a hand warmer. It is designed by Lovely Ghosts, and it has quotes from Lake's Edge and Among the Beasts and Briars. It is actually pretty interesting. It gives directions on the back, but you squeeze the metal pin that's inside of it and then put it into boiling water, and it says you can use this 100 times. So that was interesting, not something I've ever seen before. Next, we have this lovely bag with this beautiful print quote, "Perhaps there is magic in the forest." And inside of it, we have a plastic soap dish. And this is inspired by The Bear and the Nightingale, which is a fabulous book, by the way. And it's got 2 levels in it. I will say the text that's printed on it is actually already fading. And as anyone who's used a soap dish knows, this, if you actually put soap in it, it is not going to last. It just gets residue and everything on it. So I thought that was an interesting choice. And then next we got this lovely wheat straw plastic cover with a bamboo toothbrush. And this bamboo toothbrush is designed by Brio and Brandish. And I loved this. It's inspired by the Raven Cycle, just like the socks in the Fairy Loot box were. And I already use a bamboo toothbrush, so I found that very useful addition to this box. Next, we have a reading planner. It comes out in every November box, so remember that next year, if you don't order a box ever, at least get the November box. This is designed by Tace Medovich, which is at Paperback Bones, and it is a fandom-neutral planner that features a cozy forest, mushrooms, acorns, etc., because the theme for this month was the dark heart of the forest. And I have a bullet journal that I use, but wow, I really loved the design of this. I thought the quality of this was pretty good. I mean, the paper is pretty thin, but all of the information that they have in there for you to fill out is really great. The pattern is repeated throughout the whole book, so there is no variety. Every month looks exactly the same. But again, thought this was a great addition to a book subscription box that is close to the beginning of the year. And then next we have the featured book of the month. This is called The Luminaries by Susan Dennard, and this has a card that comes with it, as well as an author letter, and has the pamphlet. This pamphlet is pretty thick. It has an interview with the author. It has information about the night version that OWLCRATE chose for this book. Then they have a bingo to try to get their subscribers involved. They've got the books that are coming out. So for the book, it's covered in plastic, which it's not my favorite. I do think, however, that it has the potential to protect the book better than the canvas bag does. So you can see this is signed by Susan Dennard, and the cover is just beautiful. It's got a quote on the back, and the end pages are just stunning. It's got foil detail on the hardcover as well. It's got a beautiful dust cover that is double-sided, and it also has the dark navy sprayed edges. So pros and cons of each. So for Fairy Loot, I love that I always know that I'm going to get a special copy of the book. It's going to have sprayed edges. It's going to have gorgeous end pages. They're going to do something stunning for the dust cover. And so I always know that that is going to be included. So for me, in this October box, I love the Howl's Moving Castle print because I love that book. I love the Dark Window book because, like I said, what I love about Fairy Loot is their main book. But for me, I am not so excited about a canvas basket. I honestly don't know what I'm going to do with it. And the Raven socks are cool. I will probably give them to my oldest, but again, not anything that I'm like, wow, this is really great. I do love that Fairy Loot includes 2 books. This is the second subscription box that I've gotten where they have included a paperback with just their regular feature book. And the paperback in the first box that I got it in, it was called Twin Crowns by Catherine Doyle and Catherine Weber. And I actually really enjoyed it and am looking forward to reading the second one. So all of that to say, you can't sleep on the paperback additions to these boxes. And so that paperback book is a good addition. I just am not familiar with it enough to know whether it is something that I'm going to love or not. So for OWLCRATE, first of all, I was ecstatic that they offered the Luminaries since I don't have an OWLCRATE subscription. I also was excited when I realized that the reading plan is included in November, so those 2 things for me weigh pretty heavily. I was pleasantly surprised by the Lord of the Rings ceramic bowl. As I said earlier, it's actually pretty deep and a good sized bowl, and the design is beautiful, and just really was impressed with that. It didn't feel janky at all. However, the soap dish, not my favorite thing I've ever got. In fact, it's probably the least favorite I've gotten in any book subscription ever. I love the Bear and the Nightingale. I just don't really see the use of including a soap dish. Toothbrush was cool. Again, I'm always trying to be creative in how I use the products that are included in a subscription box, but the toothbrush is so functional. The case is actually really nice. I'm just wondering if maybe I can include it as a pen holder or something when I'm taking my planner to go. The hand warmer, I also was not overly impressed with, only because I really do think you need to focus on being green with these subscription services to offset the carbon costs of having these boxes go everywhere. And to include a product that is so plasticky, I just will probably not use the hand warmer. We have handmade cloth hand warmers that are lovely and wonderful and not plasticky, and so again, I'm not sure what I'm going to do with the hand warmer. I loved the pin. I mean, I can take the pins or not. I put them on a book tote that I got from Fairy Loot, and it's lovely. So it's a good pin, nice solid quality. But for me, it really was the book with the sprayed edges and the beautiful cover and the actual book itself that was really the highlight of this book subscription for me. So how do we compare them? Fairy Loot did just recently make a statement that said instead of increasing the price for their subscription, they are going to take 1 item out. And so it's very apparent when you compare directly to OWLCRATE that there is 1 item less than there used to be. So for me, this month, Fairy Loot was not super impressive. And then for OWLCRATE, like I said, there were products that were complete misses for me, but there were a lot more hits. And so if I'm comparing an October Fairy Loot box to an OWLCRATE November box, I really think I preferred my OWLCRATE box this month. The thing that's difficult about Fairy Loot is that they have a wait list. You go on the wait list, and I waited for about 3 months to be accepted into their young adult subscription service. They do allow you to skip 4 times a year. The problem is they're very close hold about what is in their boxes. So they will not actually share what is coming. There is no way to find out the spoilers. There are a lot of Instagram accounts that once they announce their theme, it's typically a debut author and the book is not yet published, about to be published. And these Instagram accounts somehow have figured out what the books are. So you can at least usually find out what the book will be, but anything that gets added into it, it's really not shared that much. And so that's kind of the draw of Fairy Loot, is that anticipation of this could be a really great month. but there are also months where you're like, I'm not that impressed with it. I also really have to hand it to OWLCRATE in that you can jump in and jump out of their book subscriptions very easily. So there's not the pressure of, well, I waited all this time on a wait list and so now I feel committed. But there is an ease with OWLCRATE that is not there with FairyLoot. The last thing I will say, though, is that honestly, if I did the same comparison in December, I could be totally on the other side and say, wow, I really loved the FairyLoot box. So it really just kind of depends month to month on which book subscription is going to be more along the lines of what I will use and am interested in. So make sure that you keep that in mind when you are choosing a book subscription for yourself. So there are actually a lot of book subscription services. You can order a book box that is simply just a book and nothing more, no other items. And you can order some that are just murder mysteries. You can order some that are romances. They're very tailored. There are also other large book subscription services like OWLCRATE or the Bookish Box. So if you're interested in me doing a comparison of some of the other book subscription boxes, please feel free to leave that down below and I will see what I can do. Thanks so much for watching, and until next time.